cut. Welcome to the top cut. Welcome to the top cut. Welcome to the top cut. Top cut. Welcome to the top cut. Welcome to the top cut. Welcome to the top cut.
What's going on, guys? This is Trev with Team Dark Arm Dealings. We're here with Sonny, and we're getting our first place deck profile for what deck?
This is Cluster Amaryllis Burn, Phoenixing Cluster Amaryllis Burn.
Ew! Oh my gosh! So,
Yeah.
how did you like it, man? Was it good or?
So I had a shocking amount of fun with this deck. I had never played a single game with this deck before today.
Brain dead. Oh, so, I'm sorry.
What was that? I never played a single game with this deck before today. I literally put it together right before the tournament. Everybody, I actually wasn't going to play, but everybody wanted me to. And I said, well, this is what I'm going to play. I already had the Amaryllis, I just hadn't assembled it yet. So shout out to Joe behind me and Robert back there too. Shout out to them for loaning me cards to play today. And I'll point those out when we get there because they're pretty important cards.
Sweet.
So, but let's go ahead and get on into the profile.
All right, let's roll, baby.
Sure.
Let's roll.
Now, I copied this deck pretty much, not quite card for card because I was missing a couple of things here and there, but I pretty much entirely copied this deck from the third place Ultimate Time Wizard tournament from Nationals. So the plant package is exactly the same. You have one Botanical Lion, one Lord Poison, two Dandelions, two Lone Fire Blossoms, 3 Titanials, and the 3 Amaryllis. So I think that I would probably change some things. I like the 3 Titanials. You absolutely have to play 3 each of these. You have to play 2 of these, and you have to play 2 of these. The Lion and the Poison never really came up. The Lion's really good for just putting on fast pressure, and then when you have this many plants on your board so regularly, it just, you can really continuously maintain that pressure, which I like. Lord Poison never came up. One time I brought back a Titanial, and it was pretty good, but generally I think that there are other plant cards in the format that we could consider playing over these, but at the end of the day, I mean, they're good, right? Like, you can't argue with it because
I usually play one Dandy. Like, I understand why people play 2, but I like 1. So.
Yeah, but in this deck, you really like having 2 dandies.
For the bodies and stuff.
Well, there's such a focus on the Titanials that having the extra tokens is just really
you're right. I'm bad. I don't play this deck. I just play Cat.
Then we have the non-plant stuff: Morphing Jar, Card Trooper, Zombie, Sangan, Necro, and then 2 Lila and 2 Raikou. So you're playing the essentially a Lightsworn package. It helps you mill, helps you get your Amaryllises in the graveyard, as well as getting graveyard set up for Lord Poison. Helps you get dandies, things like that. They let you set up your zombies. Card Trooper lets you go ahead and get mills going. Honestly, if I was to rebuild the deck, I'd probably cut Card Trooper. I usually sided him out. I didn't really like playing Card Trooper, but
yeah, me and Dylan were talking about that. Like, it's kind of like what me and you said about Sangan. It's like it's good, but do you really want to normal summon it, you know?
I like Sangan in this deck in particular.
Because of Lone Fire and everything?
Well, it's kind of funny to go get a Morphing Jar and set a Raikou.
Yeah.
Or go get a Raikou and set a Morphing Jar, but also you can go get Lone Fire, and then you can also go get things like your Dandelion and stuff.
But then with like Morphing Jar, it's like you're putting your opponent like, all right, you got to have something to interact with it, which, you know, some people don't.
Right. And then, so that's it for the monster lineup. Then we go into the spells, a lot of powerful one-ofs, MST, Heavy Storm, Brain Control, Foolish, Charge to go with the Lightsworn package.
My goodness.
We're playing an Equip Spell package, which, we're playing 1 Mark of the Rose, 1 PDR, and 3 Hidden Armor.
Why 1 Mark of the Rose, brother?
So that's what the guy at Nationals was playing.
You don't like brain controlling?
So here's the thing. I disliked this ratio. Hidden Armory is like amazing, but I think that it seemed always dead to me because you mill so much that I was constantly milling DDR, Mark the Rose,
and your normal summons are so good too.
Well, it's not even that. It's that you run out of targets. You top deck this on turn. Turn 10 and you don't have a target. Yeah. So it's just sitting dead in your hand. You end up just like discarding it with a Wing Blast or something when you could still get more utility out of it if you have more Mark of the Roses in the deck, which is where I think cutting things like Card Trooper come into play. Yeah.
So would you run like what? 1 more DDR, 1 more Mark, or 3 Marks, or?
Is DDR at 3?
3D.
I would play 2 each. I thought it was.
It do be a 3.
I thought it was like 2 each.
Yeah.
But again, I took this entire deck list. So far, it's completely card for card.
Nah, you're good, bro.
3 trade-in. This is absolutely mandatory. You have to play this because of Titanial and Amaryllis both being 8, and you get them out of your hand.
Yeah.
Shout out to Robert for loaning me those.
That card good.
Yeah.
Robert!
3 Wing Blasts for the same reason. Unclogging your hand is good. Raigeki Break would be fine, but I like stacking to the top of the deck better because it lets things like Absolute Zero not trigger, and it gets things like Treeborn Frog out of the way.
Wait, wouldn't have Zero still trigger though? I don't know.
In this format, I don't think it does.
Does it still trigger even if...
Absolute Zero? Does it still trigger?
Yes.
Oh, okay, so it's new. It's current. So it's current.
But you still get rid of like the hero and the water. Yeah.
You can still.
Yeah.
There are still ways to play through an unclogged field.
Yeah, and your Amaryllis comes back anyway after F-Zero is gone.
Exactly.
So yeah, it's super broken.
Even if you trigger the Absolute Zero and it blows up your Amaryllis, that's fine. You're
So yeah,
accomplishing
take
your
8.
goal.
Take 8 full.
Exactly. 1 Torrential,
Broken.
1 Dust Shoot,
Crazy.
1 Call, 1 Mirror Force.
Yes, sir.
Torrential's crazy because at one point I had like a bunch of plants and I had Return from a Different Dimension, or not Return, Burial, and I went bring back an Amaryllis, Torrential my board away with like 2 Amaryllises and like some dandy tokens.
Dang. And you won off of that?
Well, they had 3,000 life, and so it burned for 16. And then I turned around and I had more plants in the grave, and I brought the Amaryllises back 2 more times.
No.
So I cleared my board, but I put him at 1,400 life, and I had 2 Amaryllises on board. So
Yeah, it's like what does he do? Yeah.
It's burned. So.
And Amaryllis is such a good level too because like they can't synchro with it. Like there's nothing above 8 besides Mistworm, and then he's like 2 more monsters.
Right, so it's like it's really hard to justify finding something to do with it. The biggest thing that would just destroy Amaryllis every time is Caius.
Caius.
But if they don't have a way to put the Caius on board, then it really just doesn't matter.
Robert.
Next, we're gonna go on to the extra deck. So for the extra deck, we have. Can you see?
Oh, my bad, bro.
Come on, man.
My bad, bro. You so good looking.
For the extra deck, we have 1 Armory Arm, 1 Catastor, which I never made this once, but I made this all day, like every time.
Yeah.
Queen of Thorns, which
Hold up. No Android? You just didn't like it?
I could not find one in time.
Gotcha. Cool.
Queen of Thorns, I actually did some of this once, and it did close out a game. This card's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's like what's that card? From Branded. The
Masquerade.
One that, Masquerade. Yeah.
Masquerade,
Card's
the
broken.
Blazing Dragon.
Yeah.
1 Goyo, which also wins games. Brio also wins games. 1 Tempest
I
Magician.
hate that card so much.
I never summoned this card, but in theory, it's crazy.
It's
you kind of
insane.
have to play it in the burn deck, right?
Yeah.
I played an Arcanite Magician because I felt like if I could justify playing something that required a spellcaster in Tempest, then I could justify it in Arcanite too.
Did you ever make it?
I never made it once. 7 is just kind of hard to hit. It's harder than 6, but I felt like I needed a card, and I was at 14, and he was the best option.
Yeah,
So-
no Android.
Right. Black Rose, which I never made. Ancient Fairy, which I never made. Again, 7's kind of hard to hit. Thought Ruler, Red Dragon, Stardust, Dark End, Colossal, and the Fortress, which...
Yeah.
I mean, literally the only card I made in this entire extra deck was these 3 right here.
Yeah, all the
That's
6s.
it.
Yeah.
Because you do so much more control.
Oh, sorry, 5 and 6.
Yeah, you do so much more control with your engine. You really just don't need the extra.
Wait, is there a
that
Brio in
often.
there? I didn't see a Brio.
Yeah, I just
Oh,
never
okay.
made it.
What?
I didn't make it once all day.
That man is a G.
Yeah, I just didn't need it. All right, and the side deck was a little bit janky, but I played 2 Cyber Dragons. Sorry.
Oh, you're good.
3 Volcanic Counter on the side. Most of the Amaryllis decks main deck it, but I'll be honest with you, you really just don't need it.
I don't see why people even like. I get the objective, but the side deck. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just like your opponent can control what's going down, and like when me and you played, I got to choose what happened.
Right. So that's actually the only time this card ever got its effect ever came out.
Gotcha.
I never activated this card again. Half the time I didn't even side it in. You really just don't need it.
Yeah.
You can control so much of the game with just Amaryllis and Titanial that you just
doesn't matter.
Yeah. This is the craziest card in the game. You absolutely bring this in every single game in games 2 and 3. You don't need it game 1 because a lot of times you can surprise your opponent that you're on this deck. But games 2 and 3 you have to play it because they're guaranteed to bring in any kind of DD Crow, Film Comedian, Soul Release, whatever. Like they're going to bring in the Banish, and you need to be able to play.
What about return? No return?
No return. The guy wasn't playing it, and I didn't think about adding it.
Yeah, you're good.
And Amaryllis can't be special summoned.
Gotcha.
Except by its own effect.
Gotcha.
Lightning Vortex. This card I bring in every time. I think it's better than Wing Blast. Like I'd rather have 2 Wing Blasts, 1 Lightning Vortex. To be honest, this card's insane. Card destruction, 2 crossouts. This was a card that I added because...
Man, I hate that card.
Hey, you never saw it.
I never did.
I never saw it either. 1 Fiend Comedian because I could not find a second. 2 D Prison and 2 Bottomless Shrapple.
For like the beatdown matchups.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. For dragons and heroes and things like that.
Yeah.
So.
Well, you got anything to say about? I mean, obviously you said something about the deck. Like, are there any other changes like Card Trooper and stuff like that you would do, or what?
I think that the second Fiend Comedian I would have liked to have had.
Yeah.
I think that you really need another 5. You really need like a magical android.
Yeah. Just keep yourself alive. Sometimes take a lot of damage.
Yeah, and it's not even that so much as like you have so many opportunities where you end up. I think that you need to have more options for when you mark the roses, especially if you add more Mark of the Roses in. You need to have more options at every level just because you have so many different ways to take your opponent's monsters and you need to be able to capitalize.
What about some Caiuses? Would you play that?
I don't think I would. Caius makes a lot of sense because so often you have your opponent under 1,000 life, right? Because everybody thinks that life points are a resource until they're under 1,000 life points. And then it's like, oh no, I'm in Amaryllis range.
Yeah, but dude, like whenever I missed Worm, bro, that stuff was wild. Oh my gosh.
Exactly.
Like I had to like make really bad plays just to live. And that's what the deck does.
So I think that because of the awkward situations that you're already putting your opponents in anyway, you don't necessarily need the Caiuses. I guess it couldn't hurt, but the deck list is already so tight and it's so clean that it just isn't necessary at that point, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's it. Like I said, I don't know that there's any really major changes I would make, except for I guess I need to acquire my own titanials and that's what to build it. But,
yeah.
Had a great time today.
Well, any shout-outs?
Yeah, shout out ETB Games for hosting the tournament here. Of course, shout out all of their other sponsors regularly. Shout out Team Darkroom Dealings, Trevor back there.
Yeah, we don't exist anymore, but we like to yell sometimes.
Yeah, he's a good shout out. Shout outs, of course, to Robert and Joe for trading me letting me borrow cards for the event. I literally could not have built the deck without them. So.
Thank you, Sonny, for putting it on, by the way.
Yeah,
just
absolutely.
So you know.
So, where's my Stardust at aisle?
This dude. All right, this is Trev from Darkroom Dealings signing out.
Top cut, welcome to the top cut, welcome to the top cut, welcome to the top cut. Top cut, welcome to the top cut, welcome to the top cut, welcome to the top cut.